I'm Tad Flakey, and this is Pointless Global News. On today's show, shit happens when a woman confronts her entitled neighbor about not picking up after her dog's poop. Then cats get equal time on this podcast. I'll tell you about the swell time that a commercial jet pilot had when he got attacked by a stray cat in mid-flight. Finally, airport staff observe a man walking strangely, and I'll tell you the golden reason why. Now the details. A woman in England has been praised for getting stinky revenge on her entitled neighbor who never picks up after her dog's poop on walks. She explained how there's a big problem with dog poop in her townhouse community because her neighbors are too lazy to clean up after their pets, believing that it's someone else's problem. To teach them a lesson, she took it upon herself to return their dog's waste straight to their front door. She said on Reddit, quote, "People not picking up after their dog's poop is a big problem. Constant poop everywhere, even though there are bag supply stations in many locations. Today I thought I heard someone at my door and I decided to look down from the second-story window, but I didn't see anyone at my door. However, I saw the neighbor walking their Dalmatian. I saw the dog pooping, and I decided to keep looking out the window to see if this woman would pick up her dog poop. You guessed it, she did not." She says she considered yelling out the window to ask whether she was going to pick it up, but decided against this, thinking twice about it. She added, "I thought I'd give her the benefit of the doubt, and that she'd come back out and pick it up. I've done that before, but upon realizing I didn't bring a bag, I went back out to grab it, but she did not. I let the poop sit there for about an hour or two to see if anyone in her family would come back to pick it up, but there was no such luck with that either. With that, she stormed outside and bagged up the dog poop to throw it at her neighbor's front door. She said they have a Ring camera and she probably saw me do it, so maybe they'll just pick it up next time. However, I doubt it. Not the best petty revenge, but it made me feel good to toss it at their door." Now, the comments that she got for posting this on Reddit, I should say, were just as entertaining. One said, "Next time, put it under their doormat." Another user added, "Decades ago, a guy I worked with had the same problem. He collected the poop on a shovel, followed the door and the owner home, and then he waited 5 minutes, knocked on their door saying, 'I think this is yours,' and then tossed it in their hallway. Problem solved." A third user said, "Leave it on the doormat without a bag, and the first step out the door will be most unpleasant. They won't forget." In other pointless news, a flight leaving Sudan's capital of Khartoum was rapidly forced to land last week when a stowaway cat attacked the pilot. The Tarko aviation flight was scheduled to take a little less than 4 hours and arrive safely in Qatar's capital of Doha. It was at cruising altitude about 30 minutes to an hour after the departure. However, at that time, a surprise feline passenger appeared in the cockpit and clawed at the terrified pilot. Unfortunately for the passengers on board, the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing back at Khartoum International Airport after the crew's attempts to wrangle the cat failed. While it remains unclear just how badly the pilot was injured during this apparent cat fight, there is an explanation for how the animal surreptitiously boarded the plane in the first place. Because no passengers claimed the animal, authorities are currently confident that the cat infiltrated the plane as it was stationed in the Khartoum airport hangar before taking off the night before. Presumably, it simply languished there until it suddenly found itself at cruising altitude with a few hundred unsuspecting passengers in its midst. By the time the crew noticed the animal, it had already caused too much trouble and proved too large a distraction for the flight to continue as planned. According to sources at the airport, the cat resourcefully evaded all those that were trying to capture it. Cats are real good about doing that. We were totally shocked, the cat's owner said at the time. She must have snuck into the bag before we left for the airport, but we didn't hear or feel her at all on the journey there. Finally, we have another story that involves an airport. While having a weird walk isn't illegal, transporting gold from Dubai to India without paying the 18% tax certainly is. Unfortunately for one airline passenger, staff noticed his odd walk at India's Kannur International Airport on Tuesday and found 2 pounds of gold in his ass. The Indian man was arriving from Dubai on Go Air flight G84013 with a hefty tax awaiting him in Kannur. It appeared as though he had taken desperate measures to avoid paying his due. After the Air Intelligence Unit, better known as AIU, took over, this suspicion was confirmed. They discovered 972 grams of flattened pieces of gold worth an estimated total of $60,000 in his rectum. Another passenger on the same flight was caught with nearly twice as much, though it's unclear whether they went through similar methods of concealment. While airport authorities certainly struck gold, smuggling the precious and highly coveted metal is rather common among passengers from Arabic countries to India. A quick glance at the social media pages of customs departments shows evidence of such contraband posted virtually every other day. Passengers desperate enough to try their hand typically use chocolate boxes or hidden pockets in purses to conceal the metal. More resourceful smugglers take apart pens or umbrellas to more thoroughly hide their gold, while Tuesday's passenger was clearly of a more ambitious nature. Only a day later, customs officials in the same region of India caught a man arriving from the United Arab Emirates with gold-lined underwear. It was the 7th attempt of gold or money smuggling into India from a Gulf state last week. The tax on gold in India aims to curb the financial power of various illegal networks operating in the country. Smuggling the malleable and lucrative metal appears to have been an efficient way to boost profit margins, with police recently identifying some involved gangs. With the apparent pipeline between the United Arab Emirates and India, officials in both countries have said that they are cooperating to trace whatever crime syndicate is at the top pulling these strings. Now, here's a fun fact. You couldn't tell from this story because I was able to see the pictures when I was putting this podcast together, and the picture was very revealing of the gold that was smuggled. The gold weighed about 2.14 pounds in total, and it wasn't in the form of one big gold bar either. In order for this poor man to transport the gold in his ass, it was all divided into 4 segments, each segment looking like a gold turd. No wonder he was walking funny, but I wonder if he had a smile on his face too. We may never know. And that's a wrap on another Pointless Global News. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. I'm Tad Flakey. Stay pointless, my friend.